Hi everybody, this is Daniel Paluzik with the VMware Cloud Provider team. I'm going to show you today how to set up vCloud availability for initial replication from a tenant to a provider environment. So what I have here is a pre-established tenant environment with a single ESX host and then a vCloud Director environment installed with vCloud availability set up. So again, what we're going to do here is provide replication for a specific virtual machine in a tenant environment, and then fail it over also. So to start walking through the tabs I have here, I have my tenant vCenter open. Again, app 1 is going to be the application we're going to move over here. We also have an interface into vCloud availability that's separate from vCloud Director. This is where we can look and we'll see actually app 1 populate into here, but we can see that my virtual data center, or VDC, Acme, is listed as a DR enabled virtual data center here. And we'll go through this while we actually set up initial replication along with tasks that we see. This is my vCloud Director interface, and we can see that I have a single VM right now in my PayGo VDC. And then this is my backend provider vCenter. So we'll watch a few things. We can see the vCav elements right over here. So let's actually start with enabling replication for this virtual machine. So all of this is based off of vSphere replication. And before we get started, we have to actually establish our configuration to the cloud environment. So what we're going to do is actually go into vSphere replication, and we're going to establish that connection. So we'll go ahead and click into here. Go to Manage, and we're going to add our cloud location. So under here, we're going to put in our cloud address, which is our vCloud Director interface. In this environment, I have just a fully qualified domain name, so we're just going to give the VCD FQDN. Our organization name is Acme, that's our customer, and then I'm going to give the org admin credentials for this org. And we'll go ahead and click Next. And we can see our VDC Acme PayGo listed here. So we'll go ahead and select that. And we can see the settings to confirm how we're actually approaching this. And click Finish. So we'll see this populate into as a new vSphere replication destination. From here, what we're going to do is set up our network settings. And what I mean by that is we have to select our production and test networks. So in the event that we want to test any type of failover, and this is similar to a lot of other DR solutions, we want to make sure that we have a bubble network or a fence network available so we can test it without any production impact. And then respectfully, on the other side, a production network. So we'll go ahead and we see the message says missing network settings. We'll actually right click and configure target networks. So recovery network on the destination is our production selection, and then on our test, go ahead and select that. And then we go ahead and provide the mapping. So on the left-hand side, we can see what's available in the vCloud environment. And then on the right side is our local networks within the on-prem environment. I don't have a test network per se, so we're going to just map them to the VM networks. So this is our first production. So we'll go ahead and select the production network along with the VM, add that mapping. And then for the test network, go ahead and select that. So we can see that we've mapped out our recovery network or production network along with our test network. And again, this is for that failover and or testing. So we're ready to complete and finish. So from here, this is a one-time setting that we have to establish with the cloud environment, and we're ready to go. Now we can actually set up replication for my app one, and we can start seeing some activity inside of the vCloud availability interface. So let's go ahead and right-click on app one, and we'll go down to vSphere replication actions and configure replication. For a lot of you that have used replication in the past, you probably have seen this first option, replicate to a vCenter server. Now we also see replicate to a cloud provider. So we'll go ahead and select that. We have our Acme PayGo VDC available. It's connected, ready to go. And we'll go ahead and select that. And from here, I can actually select what I want to use for my storage policy that's defined inside of the VDC. So again, when we talk about storage tiering or any vCloud director policies, this is something that's available within the platform, along with providing a previously imported vApp as a replication seed. So rather than seeding out the entire virtual machine, this would provide some storage efficiencies and also cut down on the amount of network bandwidth. So we'll go ahead and select just the silver for now. Click next. From here, I can actually select options for quiescing the guest OS, again, based off of VMware tools, and then also use network compression based within vSphere replication to minimize bandwidth needed for the vSphere replication data. And here's where we'll actually adjust recovery settings. Within the RPO, I have a 6.0 environment. 6.5 actually has, vSphere 6.5, excuse me, has a RPO of 5 minutes. Here I'm going to do a 15-minute RPO, but we can see that we can adjust this to 5 minutes or 15 minutes in this environment up to 24-hour RPO. And then I can also keep how many point-in-time instances I want of each of these copies. So we'll go ahead and keep the defaults, keeping 3 instances per day for the last 5 days. So we'll have about 15 backups total. Okay, here's our confirmation screen. We can see where we're going to be replicating to, what storage policy, if we were enabling quiescing, network compression, our RPO, points in time recovery, and instances for recovery. Let's go ahead and click finish. So we can see our new task for configuring a virtual machine to replicate to the cloud environment. Let's go ahead and take a look at what's happening within vCloud availability. And we can start to see some tasks within here, setting capabilities, and we see a configure replication task popping up here. And this takes a bit of time depending on how large the virtual machine is. It has to create and instantiate the new virtual machine. What we're going to see is virtual machines popping in here, the app one, within the resource pool identified for Acme PayGo. And we can already see app one has been already configured here. We may actually even see it inside of vCloud Director, and we do. So by default, the virtual machine or protected virtual machine is created in its own encapsulated vApp, and it's tied based off a unique identifier. Okay, so coming back to the vCloud availability screen, we can see that app one is propagated here. It is in a status of configuring. And we can see the different options along with the virtual machine info associated with it. So we can see that configuration replication was a success. Let's go ahead and check the status of the initial seed and replication of the virtual machine. And from our vCenter server inside of the vSphere replication tab, we can see an outgoing replication. And let's go ahead and check the status of it. We can see that it is replicating over. This is going to take a few moments, obviously based off of the initial seed, how large the virtual machine is, how much network bandwidth we have, and then overall utilization of the infrastructure. Okay, the initial seed has been completed. We're ready now to test any type of failover activity within the vCloud availability environment. So before we do any type of failover, let's go ahead and do a test recovery. You can see I have a few options here. When I right-clicked on the virtual machine, I could do a planned migration. So we've used vCloud availability for migrating workloads from an on-prem environment to a vCloud environment. But like I said, we're going to go ahead and do the test recovery. So clicking on test recovery, what I'll be able to do is synchronize recent changes or use my most recent point-in-time instance that I selected. We'll go ahead for the speed of this demo. We're going to go ahead and do the point-in-time instance. And again, what we'll do is, since this is a test recovery, it's going to select that bubble network or the test network that I selected when we established the cloud connection along with the network mapping into the vCloud environment. So we'll go ahead and click Finish. We can see the test recovery pop up under my on-prem vCenter. And let's go to the vCloud interface from the vCloud availability interface. And let's go into the workspace. We should see a testing task, and we do, 25%. And if we look into the vCloud director interface, we should see a power on task. And we're at 50% here. So the beauty of this is if, let's say, a customer wanted to test their workload out in a cloud environment for regulatory compliance or testing a specific tiered application, here's a great way of doing that in a isolated network without impacting production. Okay, test ready. So we're ready to do whatever testing we want to do to the guest operating system or application and verify functionality. So from here, once I'm done with my testing, I could click the cleanup button here, or also from the on-prem environment, hit the cleanup button once this refreshes. Let's do a refresh, and we can see the little run test cleanup button. We'll go ahead and click it here. We'll get a message saying clean up the test recovery results from the target site and press yes. And we can see the test cleanup progress is happening here. We should see the task. We do. Okay, test cleanup has been complete. It is back in the protected state, and we're ready to go. All right, so let's say we lost our on-prem environment. Outage happens. I just closed the tab to obviously show we've lost access to the vCenter server, and we got to bring our workload up. Well, the beauty of this is we can log into the vCloud availability interface and start the failover process. This does not need the source site. We can do this from the vCloud availability interface or even the vCloud director interface. So we'll go ahead and click on failover, start, and we're failing over. Let me do a refresh here. You can see that It is now powering on the app1 virtual machine. And again, this is going to map it to the production network we established inside of the initial configuration. Okay, and we have failed over. So app1 is now running in my cloud environment. So let's summarize. What did we show here with vCloud availability today? We showed an easy to use solution to utilize your existing vCenter server with vSphere replication to map to a vCloud environment, provide the ability to replicate, migrate, test any type of failover, and quickly fail over workloads in the event of a disaster using a scalable architecture from vCloud Director. If you have any other questions, please reach out to us in the vCloud provider team. Thank you.